This is the contrast between the Sasquatch foot and the human foot, very elegantly adapted to the habitat in which they're found in. And that motion was recorded in some of the footprints in a very dramatic way. So this is one of the casts from the Patterson-Gimlin film site. Here you can see the negative space that's left as the substrate is pushed up by the pressure now over the forepart of the foot. You have to remember, a footprint is not a mold of a foot, but it's the record of the entire sequence of interactions of the foot with the substrate through the entire stance phase.
And that's definitely one of the significant things we shouldn't overlook, because we saw in the stabilization that the foot was peeling off substantially. So there's a lot of flexibility in both directions, right? This isn't just some cast of a foot that you stuck onto the bottom of a chute.
Or some carved wooden foot stompers that one attaches to some hiking boots and stomps around through the mud and the dirt and sand to leave spurious tracks. Certainly not. This is a living foot.
.3D modeling of the figure in the Patterson footage. The animation will be sent to Dr. Meldrum in Idaho, enabling a first-time glimpse of the Patterson creature from almost any point of view.
With this animation now, I'll be able to not only visualize, but more importantly, quantify aspects of this peculiar bent-kneed gait on a flexible flat foot. I've also noticed right away that there's an interesting rotation of the leg and foot that's not typical of a modern human gait. If this is in fact a real animal, this unusual combination of characteristics is going to give some important insights into the evolutionary history of bipedalism. In fact, it very well may challenge some of the preconceptions that we have. These features correlate, in fact, with the very types of adaptations that we would expect of a biped that's living in rugged, mountainous forests.
For additional opinions on these anatomical perspectives, Dr. Meldrum consults with Andrew Nelson of the Center for Motion Analysis and Biomechanics at Idaho State University. Nelson is able to view the Patterson figure from yet another specialized perspective. While studying the Patterson footage, a large visible bulge is seen on the leg of the subject.
Right there. Stop there, and you can actually go one frame forward.
While inconclusive, it does in fact raise additional questions about how a fake monkey suit could be constructed with such detail over 35 years ago.
It could be some sort of traumatic pathology, a rupture of the IT or iliotibial band, allowing the underlying muscle to selectively bulge through in that area.
You know, first of all, I would say that would be characteristic of at least a partial rupture of a part of the quadriceps.
I will apply the same science to the Sasquatch castings as I do to a latent fingerprint lifted from a crime scene. My study group consisted of over 100 alleged Sasquatch castings. And some of these castings were cast as much as 20 years apart. And once I established the texture and the pattern flow of this animal, I was able to look at the other castings and know what I was looking at.
At the very least, Chilcutt should be able to tell us whether the prints are from a real animal or a clever forgery.
If this animal is walking through the wilderness, he's bound to come across rocks and rough terrain, which will cut the bottom of his foot. As the wound heals, the ridges curl inward toward the scar. So to authenticate any scar on these castings, I will be looking for that same characteristic. In human footprints, the ridges run horizontally across the width of the foot. On primates, the ridges run diagonally. On this casting, the ridges run vertically down the side of the foot. The ridges on this cast are about twice the thickness of a human print. Now these casts were cast 20 years apart and hundreds of miles apart, yet they have the same ridge texture and ridge flow pattern.